Hey everybody, it's Big Ant here, and today I'm making a video to show you guys my painting technique that I use to paint my various tombstones and props and other things that I've been painting. I've had quite a few people ask me now to show a video of how I do this, and there's my pumpkin headstone that I made. I just got that painted today, finally. But so I've decided to go ahead and make a video because I've had quite a few requests for it. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to paint the back of this tombstone. I meant to make a video when I painted the headstone for the pumpkins, and I kind of forgot all about it and knocked it out before I realized I was supposed to make a video for it. And as you can see, there's my columns there below it. But the technique I'm using, it's definitely nothing new. It's called dry brushing, and the technique is essentially exactly what it sounds like. You try to apply paint with essentially a dry brush, really. And in order to do that, I do it in a two-part process because that's how dry brushing works. So the first thing I do is I apply my darkest color first, which in this case is black. And I'm just using flat black spray paint to do that. And the idea there is when you put the darker color and then you dry brush a lighter color over it, you're going to give the illusion of aging as well as texture. You know, the dark spots are supposed to give the illusion of being a low area versus the higher area with a lighter color on it. And it's just a neat technique. It's pretty easy to do. And for my gray that I'm using, I'm actually just using a can of just gray exterior paint that I got for $7 from Home Depot. Nothing crazy, nothing special there. And before I get started real quick, I wanted to show you guys something here. This was a prop that I just repainted recently. I'll put a video up real quick to show you guys what it looked like before and after. And the reason this looks different, the statue here, than my tombstones and the column it's sitting on, you'll notice there's a slight difference in the way that came out. And that's because of the difference in the surface itself. As you can see, this isn't a smooth surface, so all these dark areas you're seeing here are true low areas. So when I dry brushed over it, that was the whole purpose, was that the low areas would stay dark and the high areas would pick up the lighter color off the paintbrush. And that's how you get that effect there. And like I said, the reason it looks different is because on the tombstones here, this is just a truly flat surface, as well as these columns. These columns were actually, when I bought them, they were white, and they come with authentic spiders inside, as you can see now. And those were white, and then again I painted them black and then started dry brushing over them to give them that effect. So bear with me one moment. Let me put the camera back on the tripod here real quick. So in order to do the dry brushing, as I mentioned, you put your first coat down. You can do this with various colors depending on the effect you're trying to get and what you're trying to paint as well. So let me open up my can of paint here. Let's get our paint good and open here. And I'm going to paint the back of this today. I apologize. I wanted to do the front, and again, I had painted that before I got the chance to do that. So the key here, too, as I mentioned, was to get as much paint back off of your brush as possible. And I do that with a piece of cardboard. So you start out by putting as little bit of paint on as possible, and then with either a piece of paper or just a piece of scrap cardboard, try to get that paint back off. So like I said, you want as little paint as possible on the paintbrush itself when you go to start applying the paint. And the trick to dry brushing is patience. You just want to be really patient. You're not in any kind of hurry to apply that other layer of paint. You just kind of want to slowly build it up, and that way you just keep doing it and keep doing it until you get the desired effect that you're looking for. So I think I got enough paint back off of there. Sorry for bumping that, you guys. And another thing I do when I'm painting these tombstones is I like to keep my brush strokes perpendicular to whatever I'm painting. So in this case, because I'm painting a tombstone, I'm going to try to make sure that all of my brush strokes go up and down to give it that proper aging effect, because, you know, gravity is going to pull the rain and sediments and dirt down as opposed to like across the surface. You know, gravity is going to affect everything. So when it comes to painting my tombstones and things like that, I try not to do side to side brush strokes, because it would look a little odd. You know, that's not how gravity would have affected that. It wouldn't normally age that way on a smooth surface. You know, if this was an irregular surface, then sure, you know, do whatever you want. Actually, do whatever you want anyway. Like I said, this is totally up to you guys. This is prop building, so, you know, creativity is essential here. And you notice I'm using somewhat firm brush strokes, and as I mentioned, I'm constantly going back over until I get the desired color that I want on there. And I'm just going back and forth, and as you can see, I'm just slowly building that gray color up on there. You know, I'm not in any hurry to get that on there. If you start trying to hurry and get too much on there, you're just going to wipe out the black, and then you won't see any of the black bleed through. It'll just be all gray. And don't worry too, sometimes if you're doing this is all a matter of trial and error and just practice. Sometimes when you're doing this, you may get a really heavy brush stroke. Let me see if I can do this here real quick, where I took too much paint off, but you may get a heavy brush stroke like that. Don't worry too much if you do, because, you know, just try to work the heavy brush lines back out. And that's the other thing you're trying to avoid here when doing this, is you're trying to avoid having deliberate looking brush strokes. You know, sometimes when you paint things, you can see that, oh, someone used a paintbrush to paint that, and you can actually see those lines in there. You're trying to avoid that if it's at all possible. And I'm doing that just by varying how much pressure I put on the paintbrush when I do it. So I'm going to get a little bit more paint on my paintbrush, and again, I'm trying to get that paint back off of there, because I want as little bit of paint as possible. And in case you guys are wondering, this PVC pipe, see, like right there, I wasn't too careful with what I was doing. It's the back, so as you can see, I'm trying to get it in the camera view there. You can see where I got that really heavy light spot. That's fine. I'm going to come back to that in just a minute here. I'm going to continue getting most of the paint off my paintbrush, and I'm going to come back to that real quick before that paint dries, and try to just work it out. Just work it back in there, and you'll try to get it in there a little bit better. And as I was mentioning, this PVC pipe is something new I'm going to try this year, where I'm going to use that to hold these foam tombstones into the ground with a piece of rebar directly through that. It's just a 1/2-inch PVC I had left over from making my fence, and I had a whole bunch of those left over, so I figured it'd be a good idea to glue them on and do the old rebar in the ground trick. And like I said, I'm just slowly applying that, just stroke after stroke there, until I get nice even coverage on it. And this is neat, because like I said, when you do dry brushing, if you are dry brushing an actual textured surface, it's going to really highlight the textures on that surface. As you can see here, well, hopefully you can see here, there's a couple divots and low spots in the foam here where it got a few nicks and things like that. And as you can see, dry brushing really emphasizes that. You know, the lower areas won't catch as much paint as the raised, outer areas will. So that's neat. You know, if you've been working with different techniques for applying textures and stuff like that, dry brushing is really neat when it comes to painting it. You're going to get really neat effects with it and stuff like that. And the other neat thing about dry brushing is this can of paint has lasted me close to, I don't know, like 3 years now at this point. And I've maybe used a quarter of it. And it's outdoor latex paint, so I'm not too worried about it holding up to the weather, because, well, it should be able to hold up just fine, as should the spray paint. And of course this is foam, so I'm not too worried about it taking on water. It's blue insulation foam. But essentially that's it. So as you can see, that's the front. That's what that looks like. And then here's the back. And, you know, I can just keep going on and just keep applying some gray paint until you get the color you want. If you want it to be really dark and really dirty looking, you know, You can just stop there or just keep going until you get, you know, a grayer, lighter color. It's totally up to you, whatever you guys want. And you can use this technique on anything. You can use it on wood. You can use it on foam, plastic. Really good for corpsing skeletons, if anyone wants to try that. Dry brushing over your corpsing looks really neat as well. And see, I got a spot there I got to work out. Okay, just work it out like that. And essentially, that's pretty much it, you guys. That's how I do my painting technique, as you can see. And I'm going to stop there. I'm not too worried about that getting a whole lot of black on it, or excuse me, a whole lot of gray on it, because it's the back of that tombstone. Hopefully too many people don't see it anyway. I'm more concerned with the front. And as you can see on the front, I just followed that same process, you know, for a little while longer until I got a nicer grayer color out of it. And as I mentioned, if you wanted to see what that looks like on wood, as I was saying before, this is what it looks like on wood. It's virtually indistinguishable from wood to foam. This here is all wood, and then this piece here is blue foam. And as you can see, once I painted it all together, you really can't tell that it's made out of different materials at all. And that's always a good thing. Same with the columns. The top pieces of those columns is foam, and the rest of them are wood. And as you can see, you know, I've got a dollar store skeleton knocker on there that I painted using the same technique. You can see that again up here on this larger tombstone that I painted as well using that same technique. You know, just put everything down, apply your first layer of flat black if that's what you're looking for, and get a good even flat black over everything, and then just take your time dry brushing. Like I said, just try to get as little bit of paint as possible on that brush. Try to keep your brush strokes as straight as possible. If you do, every now and then you'll mess up. Even I mess up. Like you can see here, you know, I accidentally got a really heavy brush stroke there that I wasn't able to work completely out. But, you know, it's not the end of the world. If you do mess up and you think that you want to do it over again, it's as simple as just, hey, throw another flat black coat on it and try dry brushing again. You know, it's all about experimenting. And as you see here, this is another prop I'm going to have to repaint this year. All the paint on it's finally coming off and started cracking and stuff. So I'm going to shoot it flat black and paint it. And hopefully it should come out as good as that one did. I hope. That's my goal anyway, because this one, as you can see too, has a really nice textured surface to it. But that's it, you guys. That's my technique for painting things. You know, you can try it in various different colors and things like that, and just experiment with it. It's all a matter of, you know, trial and error and just practicing with it. And stuff like that. Don't forget to like this. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. It was cheesy, I know. But thanks for watching, guys.